Hello YouTube, I'm making a video, I suppose firstly because it's June here in France, as it is probably with you June, but the weather's shit basically. It's cold and wet outside and I can't get and do any gardening, and so I've watched too many YouTube videos, and this morning I can make a video. That's basically why I'm making a video. The subject will be free will and determinism, but not much free will, because it's determinism that the videos have made the brain think today. And free will hasn't changed since the last time I touched it, that nobody has really explained what it possibly could be in a non-religious way. So, determinism. If you believe in determinism, that makes you a determinist. Now, I don't like being an ist of anything, but if I had to, put my flag in somewhere, it would be as a determinist, because philosophy, which I look at as kind of describing how life might work by thinks, has really only two bases, or anything like that, fundamental ideas which are totally crucial. And one is the determinist idea, where basically it's things knocking into each other, and that's all there is. Very physics type of thing. Pool balls, billiard balls, snooker balls, and that's obviously the number of them is more than, we don't even have a word for the amount of little balls that are knocking into each other. But at the Big Bang, the balls were sent out and started knocking into each other, and are still knocking into each other and will knock into each other until the end of time. So that's determinism, really, Newtonian sort of basic thing. It doesn't explain much, and it leaves a lot unexplained, but it doesn't have to resort to woo-woo. Now, on the other hand, another explanation is the free will thing. The free is always a very strange idea. But it's got a natural basis, as in we understand where it came from, because these pool balls, billiard balls, knocking into each other all over the place was understood by the ancient type people as a concept, as an idea. But they wanted to explain good and evil and all that sort of thing, and they had gods. And could people do good or evil, or was everything organised, one of these Xbox games from the gods, is everything Xboxed around? Or, we can either say, do the gods make us do everything, or do the little billiard balls make us do everything? In other words, there's nothing here to act against the circumstances of all the different billiard balls banging all over the place, which is life. So the idea was introduced that the gods, or God, or somebody somewhere along the line, puffed into existence a soul, and they argued whether it was a mortal soul and an mortal soul or immortal soul. It's just words. It's just an idea to give a basis back in the day for what they wanted to describe, and what they wanted to describe was good and evil, and, well, to have an idea of how the world works. So they invented the idea of something that was extra to circumstances. It was a God-given soul that had free will to act against all these billiard balls. That's basically it. Now, from that idea, you can explain an awful lot more than you can with basic determinism. Things like, why do I think, is something that the free will type religious people would go, they'd have an answer for it anyway, because they're basically on dodgy ground to start with. So they're having, God and puffing into existence in the human being the the soul, they can basically continue making shit up. So they're never at a loss for describing things. But with determinism, there is always a struggle of describing things, of how things seem to work, because they don't seem to work in a deterministic way, which fits the natural thinking of a person, fits better with the religious idea of God, God's soul and free will. So it's an unequal thing, an unequal battle, where determinism can't explain things because, let's say, science or whatever hasn't got there yet. But people always want answers, so they're happier to go with the very dodgy basis of, they forget that God and gods were the basis of it and souls, and just go with the free will thing. Anyway, we're leaving the free will today and just going on the determinist thing, because although accepting that it can't explain things, science can't explain an awful lot of things. But I've watched a few videos of people getting themselves in trouble with the deterministic idea. Gary, yes, hello Gary, yes, I've been watching some of your videos and you're still getting yourself in trouble with it. It's a perfectly natural thing to do, and I've watched other people and they're getting themselves in trouble with it as well. What we have with determinism is this idea that at the time of the Big Bang or the start or whatever, things were sent off to, in the future, bump into each other. Now, forget time and all that sort of stuff which complicates matters. So we'll go with the idea that the Big Bang was a long time ago and time is moving forward, and the billiard balls have been banging into each other ever since and will bang into each other for all time. And that's all that ever will be. And we can imagine, we can conceive of, say, a computer big enough to think at the time of the Big Bang and track every single movement and every single bing bang bong till the end of time. Obviously that's totally hypothetical, and it can't be, wouldn't, never can be, but it's an idea that we can have. So we can have the entire, we can have a book of the universe through all time, written at the time of the Big Bang by the big computer. It's hypothetical, but technically that's what determinism means. It just is that way. So we come to present day problems like anything. We'll go with a Gary one. Veganism, and he likes to run, have people run over. Jaywalking, that's it, jaywalking. Anyway, so if I remember, I'll do both. So veganism, let's say, or this ethylism thing. Gary says that he's got to be there to make the videos so that in future people will be influenced by these videos and will alter their behaviour. Now, I've said that in a way that it should be obvious that if it's stated that way as a determinist, it doesn't make sense. But this is the confusion that people get into. It is then would be replied that if, let's say, seeing we've got this computer which is wildly hypothetical, let's have in 100 years' time everyone's vegan. How about that? Now, it can be traced back to people like Gary, or let's even say, so it's not vegan, let's say they stopped making babies. We know it's highly unlikely. 100 years' time, everyone's got the word, and nobody's making babies anymore, and everybody is just partying and having a damn good time. Because they know it's the end of the world, they can use up all the resources and just close down, or whatever, you know. But in that 100 years' time, we can look back at a tapering sort of action where there were fewer and fewer people acting in a this sort of anti-natalist way, to now where people are nataling, having babies to the extent that the population of the world is increasing, but it looks like it's going to go down in the future. But let's say it's, you know what I'm talking about anyway. Now people can say it was people that pushed on YouTube and then eventually got themselves on national television and best-selling books that created the atmosphere in the brains, the memes of the people, which eventually got a little mind worm that went in and everybody got the word and stopped having babies. Now, the people that made the videos, obviously they're dead, but let's say they can live forever now. They would say, there is me, I started this, I was among the vanguard pushing this great thing that has now come to pass. Now, what I want to explain is there are two ways of looking at this. The deterministic thing, kind of short term, and I'm having 100 years as a short term, that where we do say, yes, the people making YouTube videos in 2000 and something, early 2000s, were in the vanguard of pushing the anti-natalist word that became gospel to the world. And they were the cause of the effect, which was everybody stopping having children. But we have to go back to the book that was written by the big computer at the time of the Big Bang and read in 2116, that's 100 years from now, isn't it? Yeah. Something like that, yes. And people started partying and not making babies, and they thought that this was going to be the end of time, and diddly diddly did. Do you see what I'm trying to say is, yes, there is the cause for that effect short term, but it was already written in the book. You can say, I need to make these videos so people will learn the truth. It's in the book. You making the videos in the book is in the book. People watching the videos is in the book. People either being affected by it or not being affected by it is in the book. That's the thing. So when you say, I have to make these videos, bit dodgy. Let's have another one. I said I'd go to Gary's jaywalking. He says that cause and effect. If we passed a bill for the world, let's say, where we shot each jaywalker when they were caught, it would stop jaywalking. The bill would be, the law would be the cause of the effect of stopping jaywalking. Or not, because we don't know. It's only the book that knows. Cause and effect. It might turn out completely different. The whole world might go, fuck that for a game of soldiers, and there'd be a mass jaywalking day every day, that everybody just jaywalked all through the day and said, kill us all. We're not standing for this stupid law of being killed for jaywalking. And the people win and the law goes off the books. So the effect was that the world jaywalking, the crime prevention will shoot you if you jaywalk, actually could result in short term, very short term, jaywalking increasing exponentially, and then the law being thrown away. We never know. This is the thing. What we do now, we never can know. But the book always knows. That's the thing. The book always knows. So when we say, I have to be a responsible person and not jaywalk, not drink and drive, and not rape people because for whatever, it's just what we have been programmed to do by, let's say, the book. There's just no way we cannot follow the script of the book. There's no, I have to do this, I should do this, what are other words like that? You will do it because it's in the book, or you won't do it because it's not in the book. Everything is in the book. So you can have these, point out these short-term cause and effects that you cause somebody to become vegan by showing them animal cruelty. That is cause and effect, but it was in the book. If you're a determinist, and that's what you believe, because if you're a determinist, that's what you believe. You believe in the good book of determinism, written at the beginning of time, and there is one book, and there is absolutely no chance of there being anything outside that book. Everything is in that book. So you can point out your great videos that have caused things, but your great video was caused by other things in the past, and the thing that happens in the future, we can say, yes, you caused it, but it was in the book anyway. So there's no great pride that can be taken by it, because you were always going to do it. And the result was always going to be what the result was always going to be. So your pride in making the video and causing something, that's in the book as well. But it takes that little twist of recognition to realise that there is only ever one book. There is the only book of determinism, and everything in the entire world is in it. And there's no other copy, because that's the only one that's got absolutely everything in. There are no other options at all. So you can do what you like, say what you like, and whatever you do and say is in the book. And whatever you do and say causes, that's in the book as well. And so you can have pride and joy and sorrow about what happened and what you caused and what you did, and that'll all be in the book as well. Strangely, it really doesn't affect much at all, but it just affects one or two videos on YouTube where people are saying that they can affect things in a deterministic universe. And it's just to understand that, yes, you can, but, and you've got the but now because I've repeated it so many times, but if it's not in the book, it's not going to happen. If it's in the book, it's happening. It's happening that I turn the off button off, on, off, off.